This is video number 84 for bass students. And in this video, we're going to learn how to play number 139 in your Essential Elements Book 1. Again, this is in C major. This whole page has been in C major. It's kind of a little unit we're working on right now. And this song is also in 4/4 time. Okay, now there is look at measure 3. Measure 3 is pretty tricky. So before we even shadow bow, we're going to play measure 3 crazy slow. Okay, in fact, we're going to do it without the bow at first. So look at measure 3. You're going to start on A, and then you're going to go up the scale. A, B, C. Just like you've been doing your C major scale every day, I hope. A, B, C, but then back to A. So 1, shift 2, 4. Then back to A. Now do it without stopping, and go. A, shift B, C, A. Try it again, go. A, shift B, C, A. Now echo me with the bow, okay? Echo me, measure 3 only. Go. A, shift B, C, shift A. Again, it's tricky. You can do it though. Go. A, B, C, A. Again, go. Echo me. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to shadow bow from the beginning, okay? When we get to one point of this song, you're going to be like, hey, I recognize that. And we'll talk about that after we shadow bow through it. Let me mention one more thing. Right before that tricky measure, measure 3, look at the note right before it. You got to shift right before that measure 2. It's really tricky. You can do it though. Shadow bow. And C major, starting on a C. 1, 2, oh, this one, by the way, remember how in Oak Hollow, 137, on the second line, I had an arpeggio, then finished off with a scale. This one starts off with a scale and finishes off like with an arpeggio. You'll see what I mean when we play it. 1, 2, shadow, bow, go. Now first position, shift. Now, when you got to measure 5, you were probably sitting there thinking, I kind of recognize that. Go back and look at 125. And if you want to pause the video and play measure 9 to the end, you can, but that's what it was. They're almost the same thing, okay? Now, what's different? Okay, so it's in a different key. That means that you're playing this, but it still can sound the same even though it's a different key, because the intervals, the distance between the notes is the same. That's why it sounds the same, okay? The notes are not the same. If you compare measure 5 to measure 9 in 125, if you play it, they sound similar, but in 125, it's played in a different place in the instrument, right? So that's kind of like someone singing a song and someone else singing it higher or lower, okay? It's just in a different key, okay? But now I want you to look at where the composer part is. Now, if you look at 139, it says Russian folk song. If you look at 125, it says Far Eastern folk song. So no one, on either one of these songs, no one knows who actually wrote it, which very likely means that it was either some kids on a playground somewhere making it up, or a mama singing to their baby trying to get him to shut up, or something like that, okay? Or trying to entertain him or something like that. And then that mama sang it to their little 2-year-old, and then when their 2-year-old grew up and went to school, they sang it at recess, and then whatever, you know, and then it passed on. But it didn't, when it passed on to the next person, it didn't pass on exactly the same. If you've ever played that game Telephone, it's, you know how like maybe people are sitting in a circle, one person whispers something to the next person, and they whisper, and it comes all the way around, and when it gets back to the first person, there may be a few, part of the sentence is the same, but most of it's not. This is kind of the musical version of that. So if you think about it, that one says Far Eastern, the 125 says Far Eastern folk song. So what do we think of when we think of the Far East? We think of like Asia, like China, Mongolia, maybe Japan or Indonesia or something like that. And then this one says Russian folk song. Well, what's right above China and Mongolia? Russia. Okay, if you don't know, I'm going to show you this map right here. Okay, if you see that, see how that could happen. So, do we know where it started? Did it really start in Russia or China? We don't know. Did it ever even get started? Far East could mean Russia, but typically when people say Far East, they do mean Asia. But what happened is some kid sang it to another kid or to their brother, and it changed just a little bit. So this was, this kind of happens with songs. This is a good reason for us to actually write down music, because a lot of folk songs didn't really retain, and we don't know who wrote them. So learning to write and play music is a great thing. That's why we have music notation, so we can remember how it really went. Sometimes the story just is not the same. And which one's right, which one's wrong, nobody knows. Where did it start? Nobody knows. Somewhere in that general area of the world, somebody sang it, and then someone repeated a little bit different. But that one part is the same. It's kind of a neat thing about this song. All right, now with all that said, we're actually trying to play it now, but we're going to do little chunks. Play measure 1 and 2 for me. Just measure 1 and 2. Echo me. This is the part that starts like a scale and ends up like your arpeggio. Measure 1 and 2. 1, 2, and go. C, D, E, F, G. Now shift while you're playing the G, and C. Try that again. Measure 1 and 2. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, C. Now I've already practiced measure 3, but let's try it. 3 and 4. Echo me. 3 and 4. And go. A, shift B, C, A, G, E. If you need more practice with that, pause the video and practice that. Do the next 2 measures. Measure 5 and 6. Echo me. 1, 2, and go. F, F, A, F, E, E, G, E. Pretty easy, right? Measure 1 to the second line. 1, 2, red, say, go. D, D, F, D, C, G. Okay? Now, the rest of it's kind of repeated. Let's try it from the beginning. If you need, pause the video, practice, especially that measure 3 and 4, right? And then join me when you're ready. Beginning. 1, 2, red, say, and go. Shift. So practice, practice, practice till you can't miss those, and you focus on the ones you can't do. Once you can do without stopping, get it better in tune, better tone, get rid of extra sound, straighter bow, all of that good stuff.